What's up, adventurers, and welcome to the two most epic bucket list hikes in America. Today we're going to be breaking down the thrills, the terrors, and the views from two of the most iconic trails in the US, which is Half Dome in Yosemite and Angel's Landing in Zion. If you're trying to decide which one to conquer next, or you just want to know which one will give you the best Instagram-worthy shot without croaking, keep watching. This is the ultimate face-off between the two. Now, really quickly, my name is Alexandra. I'm a travel blogger, a photographer, and a bucket list junkie, and it is my goal to help you check off that adventure bucket list and capture the most amazing photos while you're doing it. Today, I'm going to walk you through the pros and cons, the danger level, the permit processes, the trail vibes, and the photo tips for both hikes. So by the end, you'll know exactly which one deserves a spot on your adventure calendar. Now, I actually did both of these hikes within about a 2-week span. These were some of my favorite hikes in the US, and I cannot wait to help you decide which one is best for you. Now let's just quickly talk about the basics and start with Half Dome. This is in Yosemite National Park in California. It's about 14 to 16 miles round trip depending on which trails you do take. I was around 18 because I unfortunately, the road was closed, so I had to park a little further away. I gained about 5,000 feet elevation, and it takes about 10 to 12 hours, although it took me about 13. And permits are required for the cable section up to the actual summit. Now moving over to Utah, this is Angel's Landing. It is in Zion National Park. It's about a little over 5 miles long and about 1,500 feet elevation gain. And it takes you about 3 to 5 hours, and permits are required for that infamous chain section. And as you can see here, I have successfully completed both trails, and I did it by myself as a solo female hiker, just for your reference. So let's start to compare each one and to decide which one is right for you. Now, difficulty level, Half Dome is a full day endurance test. This is probably one of the hardest day hikes I have ever done, so do not underestimate how difficult this hike is. Angel's Landing is shorter, but it's more mentally terrifying, I would say. There's like 1,000-foot drop-offs on each side. So I would say that difficulty level, Half Dome does win, and I would say Angel's Landing is a little easier physically. Number 2, the scenery. They are both the same. They both just kill this category, but they are different. Half Dome, you'll get these sweeping granite vistas and mist trail waterfalls and just all the goodness of Yosemite. And in Angel's Landing, you are going to get a completely different vibe. From towering red rock canyons and narrow ridges, I would say it's more of like a desert vibe, you know, on those like really cool red rocks, and Half Dome is more like a cool Californian forest vibe. So whichever one is your favorite, choose that one. But honestly, they are both equal in scenery. Your jaw will drop to the ground, I promise you that. Now, number 3, danger factor. The reason that both of these hikes are often grouped together, or they are very famous, is because they have sections in them that are just a little different from normal hikes. Half Dome, you have steep cables that run all the way up this granite rock, and honestly, they're kind of terrifying. There's like poles in the granite, and then you have these wooden planks that you basically balance on in order to climb up to the top of the summit of Half Dome. These are very, very famous, known as the cable section. Angel's Landing, it's chains. There are sheer cliffs, there are narrow paths, and more of a chance of vertigo. In each of these hikes, you will be using either the chains or the cables to make your way up to the summit. In Half Dome, you are going to be at probably a 45-degree angle or more, just trying to get traction on granite itself and those wooden planks. And then in Angel's Landing, it's more going to be like a scrambling, you are going to be going up uneven trail and rocks and then using the chains to help you get up to that summit. Now, number 4, permits and planning. The Half Dome, you have a seasonal lottery and then a daily lottery. In Angel's Landing, it's pretty much the same. However, the Half Dome, you had a little bit more time to prepare than Angel's Landing, which was basically the next day. Now, both of these, they're on the recreation.gov, and they are competitive. So you need to get your permits early because there's a lot of people who want to do the chain section on Angel's Landing and the cable section on Half Dome. And the rangers are very, very strict about this. Don't even try to go without a permit. There is a lot of consequences for going without a permit. Both of them need a permit. Both of them are super competitive. All I can say is good luck. Now, number 5, which one is best for photos? For Half Dome, I would more recommend it for photographers who like those wide angle landscapes. And for Angel's Landing, I would more recommend it for those like dramatic selfies with like death lurking inches away kind of vibes. However, both of them will not disappoint you. They're both very photogenic and do not mind showing off for your camera. Now, since I am a travel photographer, I do have to give some photo tips for each trail because most likely if you do end up getting a permit, this is a bucket list hike and you are going to want to document it. So let's start with Half Dome. Best gear. I would be very weary taking a camera. I definitely did not take a camera. The only thing that I took was my phone and my Insta360 camera. Since I was alone, I didn't have anybody who could take these epic cable photos for me, so I just ended up using an Insta360, and honestly, I was pretty happy with the results. However, if you do want to take a mirrorless or a DSLR camera, I would keep it lightweight and maybe pack a wide-angle lens because those sweeping vistas of Yosemite Valley are going to be epic. And not just of Half Dome, there is so much to photograph on these trails. Waterfalls, Vernal Falls, Nevada Falls, depending on which trail, the John Muir Trail, the Mist Trail. There are seriously the most epic shots on this trail that you can take, so keep an eye out for those, even though your legs are dying because you just went 8 miles uphill. Yay. Now with Angel's Landing, I'm going to say the same thing. I would be very weary about taking a camera. I don't think I would even be brave enough to take my camera on this. So again, I did the same thing that I did for Half Dome. I packed my phone and then I also packed my Insta360, and this is how I got the epic shots of me going across those narrow pathways with those vertical drop-offs on each side. They do not allow drones in any location, and honestly this Insta360 is the best you are going to get without just having a drone illegally, which don't do that. With the Angel's Landing shots, I would focus on human scale shots like you versus the canyon to just show how big this canyon actually is. Obviously, stay safe, don't go too close to the edges to get that dream shot, just be smart about it, you know? Now with Angel's Landing and the permits, I would recommend trying to get a morning permit because that sunrise and that mid-morning light is absolutely beautiful looking over Zion from the unique perspective of the summit of Angel's Landing. Now, some tips for both. You need to secure your camera on both. This is a huge safety issue. You do not want your gear falling off, hitting somebody else, causing you to fall. Just secure your gear, and if it does fall, let it fall. Give it as a sacrifice to nature because the cameras can be replaced. You cannot. Now, let's talk about my opinion, who I think each is for, which one I think is scarier, which one I think is more dangerous. Here are my thoughts from doing both of these bucket list hikes. First off, who would I recommend each for? If you want a full-on challenge of endurance and grit, Half Dome is your beast. It's like going on this intense hike, your legs are burning, and then you finally get there and the last 400 feet is just going to test you so much physically, so much emotionally, so much mentally. It is seriously one of the biggest accomplishments I've done because, woo, that was super scary, for sure. However, if you're like, I don't really want to hike 14 to 18 miles through Yosemite and then slip on some granite, if you just want an adrenaline rush with some heart-thumping exposure, then Angel's Landing will test your soul. I will say, as far as which one was scarier, controversially, I would actually argue that Half Dome is scarier, and here's why. So when I was doing the chain section, I was pretty freaked out. There was a moment where I was like, why did I do this to myself? Like, why did I think that this would be fun? But other than that, it kind of just flowed, and I looked back at the footage and I was like, oh my gosh, is that actually what it looked like? And I've been hearing this from other people as well, where it doesn't really seem that scary once you're doing it. It's the footage that makes it scary, where you're like, oh, that's what it was like. But really, you kind of just get in the zone, and sometimes you need the chains, sometimes you don't, sometimes you can just walk or just use the chain as an aid. And then you get to the top and you start going down, and personally I thought that going down was way harder. But at the end of the day, I think if you just have some basic common sense and you have really good communication with those around you, it really isn't that bad. It looks a lot worse than it is. Now, Half Dome, I would argue, is the opposite. It looks kind of like, oh yeah, that's fine, you know, it can't be that bad. And then you get up there and your butt starts clenching because you're like, there's no way I have to climb this beast of a granite rock. There's no way. This is different than Angel's Landing, where I was like, oh, the chain's there if I need it. Not the cables. I was holding on to those cables for dear life, just praying, please just get me to the top and back down without falling. I thought Half Dome was a brutal challenge physically going up and a huge mental challenge going down. There's a lot of finesse, there's a lot of technique, there's a lot of communication. If it's packed, forget it. Oh my gosh, that would be terrifying. Trying to go down those cables and trying to get people around you or saying, okay, you go first up while I'm going down. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying, mentally and physically. I cannot believe that they do not require some sort of harness on those cables, because there were so many spots where I was like, oh my gosh, like the wood is kind of unstable. They're not super stable in the holes like the actual cables, like they do kind of move around a bit. The entire thing, so worth it. So terrifying. So if I had to say the one that was more dangerous, harder, and just downright terrifying, my opinion is Half Dome. That was a beast of a hike. That got my adrenaline going, and wow, was it just kind of scary from start to finish, all the way up, all the way down. Angel's Landing, super fun. Sometimes you get like that adrenaline rush, but overall you do feel like you're in control the entire time. I also think that with Angel's Landing, it's less of a physical challenge because you're not hiking for just hours and hours and hours on end, and then you're exhausted, and then you get to the chains and you're like, oh my gosh, my legs are fried. I've been going uphill for like 7 to 8 miles, and now I have to do this and then go back down, and your legs are all jelly-like. But with Angel's Landing, it's quick. You get there quick. I also need to mention that subdome, which is the section before the infamous cables of Half Dome. That is almost just as scary, and I've read on a lot of forums that some people actually thought that subdome was scarier than the cables. I personally thought that the cables were more scary, but some people really don't like subdome. It is like these really steep sets of stairs, and if you take one wrong move, you're doing a really scary slip and slide down that rock. So keep in mind that Angel's Landing, you're gonna have a very nice hike through Zion and then a pretty scary section through the chains, but with Half Dome, you have a brutal ascent, and then you have Subdome, and then you have the cables. It's just a lot. However, if I had to pick a favorite of the two, I really could not. They are just both incredible hikes, so if you can stomach each one and you can manage to get a permit for each one, I would actually suggest doing both of them. And if you do end up just doing one, or if you looked at this video and said, oh my gosh, neither, is that an option? I do neither. I just watch this video and say thumbs up, thanks for doing it so I don't have to. That's totally fine. But whichever one you pick, you are going to experience a bucket list moment that you will never forget. So let me know in the comments, which hike are you choosing, or have you done both? I would love to hear from people who have done both of these hikes, one of these hikes, what they thought. Maybe they absolutely crushed Half Dome, but Angel's Landing just like sent them into a panic attack. I want to hear all about it. And if you want more adventure and travel and photography tips, don't forget to like, subscribe, join my newsletter over at the Bucket List Mermaid. I actually have very in-depth guides for both of these hikes that I will be linking in the description. If you are drawn to one of them, I would highly recommend going down to the comments section and reading those guides. I cover everything from when to get permits, what gear to pack, how to prepare, how to train, literally everything that I could possibly think of to make it easier for you to check off one or both of these amazing hikes. I would like to thank you guys for supporting my small channel, and if you do have photos, I'm the ultimate photography cheerleader and I want to see them. Send them on over. I will hype you up while you're doing this hike because you deserve to be hyped up. These hikes are no joke. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. We will see you next time. Keep adventuring.